Hello, it's Kathy from Scrap and Bean in Sherwood Park, Alberta. I am so excited to be cutting into this beautiful paper today. The Vintage Library by Stamperia. I've waited and waited for this to arrive ever since they started giving us sneak peeks of it. Absolutely stunning. The artist that created this is just so into details. It's absolutely beautiful. The more you look at the paper, the more details you see. I'm loving it. So I thought I would start with actually a really small project, going mini. So out of this paper pad, I've torn out this one sheet that's got bookmarks on it. And I cut out these two bookmarks. So I'm going to make a bookmark. Easy enough, but I want a little dangle. Since I'm not going to do a tassel, I want something dangling from here, and that's where the fun comes in. So I have, where's my little book? Someplace in here. There's a picture of a book cover. Yeah, so out of these, they're collectibles. This one page has some pictures of books on it, and they're nice and small. I like that. So I thought I would pick one at the bottom here. And I'm just going to cut out this little brown book here, the National Library Bindery Company. And I'm going to cut out, I really just want this cover because I want to make my own little book. That's where the mini comes in. So I'm actually going to cut off this bottom where you're seeing the edge of the pages because I'm trying to create a book cover, I guess is what I want to see. And this is a little bit on a slant, so it's not perfectly square. But that's going to be okay. Then out of the big paper pad, all this paper that looks like it is the inside of old books. I don't want to cut into this guy though because I really like him and I'd like to use him someplace else. So I'm just going to trim off some of these pages, and I want it to be the same, roughly the same size as my cover here, which is 1.25 inches about. So I'm first going to trim off a little bit. I'm just trimming off this, so now it looks like I have whole book pages here. It's not, they're just kind of messy book pages. But if I go back to, what was my measurement, roughly 1.25 inches. So now I'm going to cut this at 1.25. And now I have this little strip that's 1.25 inches. Okay, so on this strip that I've cut off now, there's my little book. That's 1.25 inches. I'm going to cut off this little piece here. That's 1.2 inches. I'm going to go about 2.5. Yeah, so just the edge of these brown pieces. That's going to be great. That's going to be perfect. And now my piece, about 1 inch. So I'm going to cut this into 2-inch pieces. And it gives me a little bit of a scrap here that's only about 1.5 inches, and that's okay. So what I want to do now, I'm making this the picture for the cover. This picture is on a bit of a slant, and I just want to straighten that out. and it's a little bit taller than my piece. I'm just going to cut these beige pieces. So I've really kind of mutilated this, but I really just want this writing that looks like it's the cover of a book. Perfect. Okay, and all of these little pieces I'm going to score in half because we're going to fold them and make them into a book. Bring them all right in the middle, which is at the 1-inch line. And my little cover here, I'm going to use that for my cover. So that's about it's 2.5 inches, so 1 1/4 is going to be the middle of that one. And then I'm going to take all of these pieces and rough them up a little bit. I don't have my little, oh, maybe I do have my little tool. I do. And now as I'm creating this, I realize I could use, I could do this when they're all together and use that Tim Holtz sanding disc on it, and it would go much quicker. Okay, so I'm not going to bother doing the rest. So then what I'm just going to do is stack these all on top of each other, except not my little book cover, and I'm using this as the cover. And I'm going to bend those all in half. Then I'm going to take this cover, it's scored in the middle as well, and putting that in half. Actually, I'm just going to, okay, I'm leaving the cover off those. This page is the one, it's just the piece of paper that's a little bit shorter. It's not as long as the rest, but you know what? I'm going to bend that in half too, and why not? I'm going to use that. I'll just stick it right in the middle there somewhere. Because this is an old book, so maybe some of the pages are torn. Okay, so give that a good bend. And I just want to make sure that there's no pictures on here where things have to go up or down. Is this the writing? Maybe looks like it should be the other direction. Possibly. So even though it's writing that you can't really read, sometimes it looks like there is a right side up. This one maybe, yeah, it goes the other way. Okay, so now I have all my writing going the right way up, and I'm just going to staple that. So I'm just going to staple that right along the crease, and I put it so that this nice flat side of the staple is going to be what's on the inside of my book. This rough part where you sometimes catch your fingers and things on the staple, this is on the outside. And then I'm going to cover that up. So now, this piece that I'm calling my cover, and I still have this decorative piece, but this what looks like it's going to be my brown cover. And it also has writing inside of it, so it's got a right direction and a wrong direction for the writing. Put that inside, and I just want to glue that. This is the size of our book. I didn't mention that, but I'm sure you've figured it out by now. We're making a little tiny mini book. And when you use the glue that has this tip here, you want to get that tip sealed quick so it doesn't start to dry on you. Okay, so now that there's glue everywhere in here, I'm going to set the center of my book with the writing going the right direction. And I'm gluing that right to these first and last pages of my booklet. And you know what? My cutting, it doesn't line up perfectly, but it's going to be fine. the next step is going to change all that, I believe. I believe. I have faith. Okay. And then you can see where this glue is. So this cover piece, where it was larger than my pages, I'm just going to bend that over and glue it down with that glue that's exposed there. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So the fact that they were not cut perfectly won't matter now. Okay, so now I have a little bit more of a finished edge on my book. And you can see that some of the pages on the inside of my book are sticking out actually quite a ways. If it was only a little bit, I'd be okay with it, but it's quite a ways. So I'm just going to trim those back so that they're either the same size as the cover or possibly a little bit shorter than the cover. And it turns out I'm not trimming them all the same size. That's not by design, that's just what happened. And you know what? It's okay. There, so already it's kind of this cute little book. I guess that's the front. Yeah, with our little cover here. So now I'm going to take this cover trim that down to hopefully fit and glue that onto the front. Make sure I've got my writing going the right direction, because this has writing on it as well. And now it looks like a little bit more like a book, eh? Slightly. One more page in here that looks like it needs to get trimmed. There we go, lots of trimmings off of there. So these little Tim Holtz sanding discs, these are the neatest little things. I'm quite enjoying these. I've found a few uses for them already, including when you're crafting and break a nail. They're a little bit harsher than an emery board, but they do work to fix a nail in emergency. And then I'm just opening the covers because the covers stick out a little farther than the pages. And then I'll just pinch all these pages and I am going to rough them up all together. So I could do what I started doing and taking my edging tool and just scraping each page. But this does all of them at once. And it's kind of, I don't know what you'd say. It's roughing up the paper, but it's making them all the same size, so it makes it look more like a book. It's just filing them all down to the same size paper. This is perfect for this application. Yeah, I just love these little sanders. Tim Holtz, he comes up with some great tools. There, so now my little book, all that uneven cutting that you saw, and they're all different sizes, and I trimmed them all weird. Now it looks like little book pages. And then on the cover of the book, I'm going to make sure that I rough that top edge up, because I wasn't doing that with the rest of the pages. I was holding that separate, so I'm going to rough those up, or sand them, I guess, is what it's doing. Okay, and my plan is to have this dangle by twine off of my bookmark. So I'm having a book hanging from my bookmark. It's like in place of a top. decorate this, because look what I found. I mean, the inside pages are pretty cool. I like the ones with writing, and some of them have ink blotches, and actually you probably don't see it very well. We'll go a little closer. So look at those beautiful ink blotches on there. Okay, but then we have some pages that are like this, and that's just to like shouting in my face. I don't care for that. So when you don't like something, you just modify it, right? With just inking. So I'll take my sanding disc off of there and put some brown ink on here. Of course, you know we're going to ink all the edges, so we could start with that. Start with what you want to do, and then sometimes the rest just comes to life. The ideas just come to you. That is often how I create. Just keep modifying things, and it's almost like they work themselves out. Okay. And then I want to ink up some of these, like this kind of page where it's red and blue. That is way too like shouting in my face. So we're going to age that by putting some brown ink on it and just kind of calm down those colors a little bit. It doesn't do a lot, but it's doing a little bit. Now this, we could have done this before I bound the book too, but this works okay. I'm not sorry that I waited. But now that you see what I'm doing, that's the benefit of watching what somebody else makes, because then you know what it's gonna look like when it's finished, and you can do yours a little bit differently so that it's a little more efficient way of doing it. This I'm just creating as I go. Just making it up as I go along. And I already have ideas of what I would do with the next one. I would do it a little bit differently of how I assemble it and what I create with it. So, you know, the whole ideas come. As you create, more and more ideas just keep coming. So if you're not sure what to do or you can't think up something, just start making and away it goes. Okay, so we have a decent little book started here. Book so far with the little cover and all the little pages and the really vibrant pages we've dulled down with some brown ink. Okay, so I'm liking this. It's a cute little mini book here. And then I want to decorate some pages, but you know, they got to be pretty tiny decorations. But look what is on this. On the collectibles for the Vintage Library, on the back cover, they show you what all of the pages inside this booklet look like, except that the pages are really reduced in size. So you got it. These are the perfect sizes to cut apart and decorate these tiny little pages. So if you're into junk journals, this is a mini one. So I'm going to take some of the, now if you don't like to cut, well, I guess you could just cut a square of these owls and glue it in and you'd have a whole owl page. And you know what? That might end up being what I end up doing. Because these are pretty tiny. Okay, I'm gonna try cutting this guy, but I'm not gonna do like super duper fussy cutting. I'm just gonna go kind of roughly around the edge of him, and he's standing on a twig. And by the time I ink up the edges, I'm going to ink my fingers just as much as I ink the edge, so I will have dirty fingers for this video, and that's fine. Okay, so look, we have, okay, this is almost ridiculous, but I have this tiny, tiny little owl. Like, isn't he just the perfect size to decorate one of my pages? Yes, he is. He's awesome. And here's an owl standing on books. He might be too tall. No, he's perfect. So we got an owl standing on books. This could be the Book of Owls, a little mini Book of Owls. Because really, what else are you going to do with these images on the back? I mean, you wouldn't throw it out. You just wouldn't use this normally. You would use the other side. But there's lots of flowers on there, so I'm okay with sacrificing a few of those to use the back cover. Okay, so here's another little, oh my goodness, look at him. An owl sitting on 3 books. How cute is that? Okay, this may be silly. Oh my gosh, he's cute. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Okay, so I need some more. Pinch that down. And there's my nicely finished grommet. And even the back side looks really nice and finished. And now it's all metal and strong there. So I'm going to take just a narrow piece of, well, it's hemp cord, but it's very thin. You could use embroidery thread, would work as well. I'll cut myself off a good chunk so I got lots to work with. I know I don't need all of that, but I'm ready for another bookmark there. Now, I don't really know what I'm going to do here, but it'll be something like, here's what I normally do with the tag, with a piece of ribbon. So we'll start with that. Okay, so now we have it attached to the bookmark. Now, how am I going to attach it to my book? So if I want it to dangle, well, I'll move down my cord a little bit, tie a knot. Yeah, maybe about there. That's about how far before my book dangles. Then I shall open this up to the center of my book. Put one cord on the inside, one cord on the outside, and now I'm going to tie a little knot at the bottom. Yeah, that works. So the cord goes down the inside of the book, one down the cover. Little bit loose, but not bad. And now I have this dangly thing, and I think I'll just trim that off. You could actually put like a little bead there or something. That would be cute too, but like, how far am I going to go with this, right? I think this kind of thing I could do over and over, and every time do it a little bit different. So there's my bookmark. Do I have a book I can try it out in? Sure I do. Here, I have an art journal laying on my desk. So let's try that out. So when it's in your book, and you have this cute little book dangling on the outside. Would you like to see what I did inside of the book? Okay, it's almost ridiculous, but I had fun with this. And obviously I do like to fussy cut. So I even cut some little photo corners, or like what you'd normally have, little metal edges. Let's see if I can find the corner of the camera here. A little owl on the cover of my book. And this cover of the paper that looked like a book just works perfect for a cover. And then on the inside, I have little decorated pages. So it's like a little art journal or a little scrapbook or a little junk journal, whatever you want to call it. Some of my pages, I even curled the page so it looks kind of old like this, where it's curled and tattered. Oh yeah, I've got an ink jar with a feather in it. It was so ridiculous. This is my favorite page. Look at all the furniture and everything. I put an owl on books on top of a table. I cut out a little picture frame for the wall. And all of this came from this collectibles. It's just off the back cover where they have tiny, tiny little images. There's some glasses there and a book. A word that says album. So this is almost like a little scrapbook page, right? It's a page about scrapbooking. So fun and really very quick. So I would do these. I wouldn't necessarily decorate the pages again, but just have it as a little book dangling from your bookmark. I hope you try that out and have some fun with it.